We're back for another installment of the Curator's Corner. NRA Senior Curator for the NRA National Firearms Museum, Phil Schreier, is here in studio again. And Phil, how do you do it? You bring in, I don't know how you know what all my favorite possible in the world firearms can be, but man, you've hit it this, bringing in a Walther PPK from a James Bond movie, man. Oh man, is it Christmas already? Tell us about this firearm, please.
Next week it's going to be all pinfires and Flaubert parlor pistols. Thanks again for having us on the show, as always. It's a privilege to be here, and tonight we bring something that we just got in, and we don't even have it on display yet, but we're headed that way real quick. It's a Walther PPK, in Fleming's quintessential Bond character pistol.
There it is.
Bond, James Bond. And this is the actual gun that Timothy Dalton used, not only in License to Kill, but in The Living Daylights. They came out in 1987 and 1989.
Wow.
And we acquired this at the famous Stembridge Movie House rental auction that was held out in California a number of years ago.
Cool.
Stembridge had been supplying movie guns to the industry since the D.W. Griffith was making silent films back in 1915.
Jeez. So tell us a little bit behind the scenes about this. So this is a PPK, a functional firearm, but it was used in a movie. When did they determine when they use a functional firearm, a prop firearm? How do they figure that out?
Well, when they want a gun to actually go bang, for the most part, they use a real gun. There are some blank-only type of guns used in Hollywood, but generally when they want it to really go bang and work, they use a real gun. Now, we're dealing with a semi-automatic here. All the way through all the cowboy films, The Great Train Robbery was one of the first classic films of all time. They use single actions. It's real easy to get a blank to go off in a single action. But with a semi-automatic, to make it look realistic, you need it to cycle.
Right, you need the blowback pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you look real carefully at this, right down the muzzle, you'll see threads in the muzzle where they put a set screw with just a tiny aperture in it, so that when the power from the blank went off, that pressure built up because it had such a small little hole to escape through, and that actually forced the gun to cycle.
Wow.
So yeah, automatic and semi-automatic firearms provide prop masters with real headaches on sets.
And some novel solutions too. Now, is this still a fully functioning firearm then? Not that if you had this thing, you would go out and shoot it every day, but if you wanted to?
Absolutely. This particular gun is the threads at the muzzle are going to throw off the accuracy. They say that the accuracy of a gun is determined by the last inch or inch and a half of thread, of rifling in the gun, and that's all gone on this piece. But the gun functions otherwise. Now there's some Colt 1911s. We're going to see one maybe in a few weeks here, but there's a special way of blank adapting a 1911 that kind of ruins the barrel at any rate. If you want it to function as a regular gun, you need to replace the barrel.
Oh, okay. Now tell us a little bit, getting outside the Bond. We could talk Bond movies all day, but let's talk about the PPK, its production, and tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a 32 auto. Its PPK stands for Police Pistol Criminal in German. Basically, the criminal with a K, it doesn't mean that it's a criminal gun. It means that the Criminal Bureau of the Police, or the Police Criminal Division, used this gun. German police used the gun. It's kind of like saying Detective Special for Colt.
Okay.
That's exactly what this gun was originally used for in Germany, designed by Walther. But then it was adopted as a sidearm for the German military throughout World War II, and became quite popular as a special, very easily concealed, lightweight 32 automatic.
And you may not know the answer to this, but I'm wondering how it made it into Ian Fleming's Bond movie. I guess maybe his exposure to it at the time, or
could have been. I personally don't know a great deal about Fleming, but I believe he was, in British Secret.
So you
Yep,
probably experience with them.
absolutely. A lot of the guys were trained with foreign firearms so that they knew how to use them if they encountered them over there.
One other question: how does the British Secret Service license you'll end up with a German firearm?
Yeah.
So maybe that tells us a little bit about it. Tell us where this will be displayed in the National Firearms Museum when it gets there. And man, you got to get there to see it.
We've got a number of areas where we have different firearms that were used in films. Dirty Harry's Model 29 Smith & Wesson, Tom Selleck's Quigley rifle. So we're going to try and get this out in the movie gun, what we call the real guns of real heroes, REEL heroes of REL guns.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Now I know we'll wrap up here in a few minutes, but I don't know if we want to get into that argument because this came from the Timothy Dalton era. I don't want to disrespect the firearm, but who your favorite Bond actor was of all time?
I'd probably have to go back to Roger Moore. I used to be a Connery fan, but Roger Moore seems to be a bit more elegant and have a little bit more panache to him. Nothing against Pierce Brosnan or Daniel Craig or George Lazenby or Timothy Dalton, but I like the Roger Moore era.
And same thing. I actually my favorite will always be Sean Connery, but I love Pierce Brosnan. Wish he would have done more films. But I was just watching. I told you before we went on air. I was just watching Diamonds Are Forever in HD last night. So,
Wow.
and it was so cool because I saw that last night, not knowing you were bringing this in, and there it is, the PPK. So once again, Phil, thank you very much, and tell people how they can get out and see this pistol on display because it's nice to see it here in HD, but it's better to see them in person at the National Firearms Museum.
Thank you. It is. We're open 7 days a week, and that's 9:30 to 5, and Saturdays until 7. Or you can visit us online at nationalfirearmsmuseum.org and visit all the guns in the collection from the
Excellent.
security of your own little MI6 bunker.
From the basement.
Yeah.
So get out there and see it, the National Firearms Museum when you're here in the Washington, D.C. area, or get online and see the website as well. Phil Schreier, thank you once again for an excellent installment of the Curator's Corner.
Thank you, John.